Hi, hello, welcome to the Lunar Lounge series brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Priestess Abossi. I'll be your oracle today, and I was sent to deliberate the findings for the full new moon in Virgo, which will be for most places in the world on the 3rd of September, give or take a day. It usually lasts about 2.5 days, the new moon. And when the moon is new, it's the beginning of a cycle. Typically, we're planting a seed of manifestation, and it could go on for about 6 months. So usually around the Virgo full moon is when it'll be terminating, meaning ending. And it's a rough, it's a guesstimate. It's an estimate. Now, that's for just a regular moon. We are having in a couple of weeks a Pisces full moon, and it's an eclipse. So when there's an eclipse, that cycle can go on for well over a year, about 18 months. Okay, so just be aware I'm saying that the moon energy lasts about 6 months. That's very true, as long as it is not an eclipse. Any kind of eclipse, a full-blown eclipse can last 18 months. A partial eclipse can last over a year. Okay, so this is physical energy. Great. I will just call that the ascending. Oh, whoopsie. Okay, so we already have the Two of Pentacles, and we have a pair of fives here. And I'm hearing that I do not know. I think it's Doja Cat. I don't actually care, so no need to remind me in the comments. Bitch, I said what I said. I'd rather be famous instead. Okay, so I believe that's Doja Cat. I'm hearing Degaja, Deboja. So okay, and when we have La Ruota, which is the wheel, and El Sole, which is the sun, that's typically a cycle of manifestation. So we are planting the seed. I'm hearing the closing of the doors, the calling of time. Don't you remind me? So something's coming back. I think there's going to be some kind of alignment. I think we're leaving some kind of cycle. To be quite honest, I have a feeling like there's a changing of the guard. So we're going to need to confirm that. But we are living under illusion. It's a construct that we buy into called the matrix. There's two types of matrix, the false matrix and the ascension matrix, also known as the universal matrix. But that has to deal with density. So you have a different experience of matter, which is just the material reality or the physical reality when you're in a lower dimension. So it can be something about the 5D stepping into the new earth. It could be the new world order or something of that nature. I don't know a lot about that. I have my opinions and my understanding of it. So if it comes up again, we'll talk about it. It's not my intention to do so. Hi, hello, and welcome. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning back, if you're returning, welcome back. My name is Serene Priestess Abossi. Again, I'll be your oracle today. Vertex of Abundance is the galactic temple of ascension, delivering sacred messages from behind the veil. It's an honor and privilege and a pleasure to serve you. Thank you for allowing me the pleasure to do so. It is something with some kind of galactic or new world order or some situation of that nature, because there's an intention to switch things around to keep us something secured. And it is negative, or somebody has their sun in Capricorn, although the King of Pentacles would come out. They're wanting us to navigate into more of a hell on earth or some kind of bondage, but I actually feel like we're being navigated out of it. So let me just go ahead and do a little tricky poo here. That is what I said, tricky poo. Yeah, so it's not going to happen. They're not going to be able to keep humanity enslaved. What's going to actually happen is that we're beginning to get out of something. It's like a tipping point is near. Everybody's mind's going to be aligned in some kind of way, but there will be a choosing of sides. So Some people won't get out of that vibrational frequency where they are ensnared in the false matrix, and they're going to kind of have to stay there. So we begin this cycle. Yeah, some people will be perfectly properly prepared to stay stuck wherever they are, and it will be because they've had some kind of buy-in. So everybody will have their spot chosen, but a lot of us will be um, moving into our spot, and that's going to be to be saved, to be chosen. We do got to work that out energetically, or make causes to it. We got to have some kind of plan, or at least technical or skilled awareness. And lastly, some of us are going to be stuck. So those who aren't counted in that will still be stuck in the lower vibration, simply because they're quarantined or they're ruled, regulated, and restricted in some kind of way. So they've been rained down. Okay. So those are who are under celestial cosmic arraignment. Yeah, the fallen, basically. So let's get into this reading, because I'm already getting a lot. Yeah, because our spiritual inheritance is trying to come through, pull through, come hard, come hard. And if I get any love, I'll bring it up, but it's not my intention to do so. When we have a moon in Virgo, that's going to be inside intuition. According to like being an earth priestess, really, that the temple priestess is Virgo. Now, temple priestess doesn't always mean working in a temple. It can mean, I was going to do something with these cards, and it's been 4 months, I haven't done anything. Or it's been a couple months, I haven't done anything, so it wasn't that important, I suppose. Yeah, and I'm getting Dionne Warwick's song now, Walk On By. We'll take a journey. We all come from the goddess, and to her we are born like a drop of rain falling to the ocean. Yeah, so there's a Satanist agenda and a Luciferian agenda. I do not want to talk about this. This is like not what I want to be doing right now. So there's a difference between the Satanist agenda. This is just not pleasant for me. Oy vey. There's a Satanist agenda and a Luciferian agenda, meaning Satanist really is the dark mother, and the agenda of Satanism is to destroy the earth. The Luciferian agenda is the false father, and the agenda there is to enslave the soul of humanity. So, putting that out there. Okay, we did get a card, Celestial Mother, and this is where we should be. And we also have that in accordance with Sacred Journey, and this is from Nadia Anastasia's Cosmic Activation Cards for the Soul. Just so you know, we will be imposing the guidance from the Thoth Tarot by Aleister Crowley, Lady Frida Harris, and we'll be delivering the findings from the Thoth Tarot, and we will be imposing the guidance from Nadia Anastasia's Cosmic Activation Cards for the Soul. We'll begin with Celestial Teacher. The prayer is, you are a spiritual being with, or the quote is, you are a spiritual being with unlimited potential. There is much for you to share. Associated chakras is the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. So the upper four, including the heart, upwards. That's the higher channel. And the affirmation is, I am confident as I embrace the teacher within me. I courageously share love, light, peace with this world. Love, light, and peace with this world. This card represents your ability to manifest of your own choosing. You have come a long way. And this world of manifestation that you now find yourself in reflects the wisdom, insight, and clarity you have embraced so far. If you have drawn this card, Spirit is encouraging you to share this wisdom with the world. Unlimited power, light, and sacred knowledge flows through you, for your heart is open and your mind is clear. Trust in your abilities as a teacher, for you have a strong connection to the universal energies of love. Allow Divine Spirit to speak through you and trust in this process that is unfolding. Trust yourself and trust in what you know. Let go of any doubts or inhibitions that keep you from taking that next step. By not embracing and sharing the wisdom that you hold, you deny the world the opportunity to experience your unique healing light. Many gravitate towards radiant souls who stand empowered. You are a natural teacher, dear one, with natural counseling skills. By speaking the truth and sharing the lessons you have learned, you inspire others to find the courage within them to do the same. Your own unique celestial light, with the guidance of spirit, will bring you much love, peace, and clarity to this planet. The increased awareness and light that you have gained is an invaluable resource that will inspire many. Release all doubts and hesitation. Be the divine soul you have come here to be. Be the light, love, peace, and stillness that the world seeks. Again, the affirmation is, I am confident as I embrace the teacher within me. I courageously share love, light, peace with this world. So you're a spiritual being with unlimited potential. There's so much to share. You know what I'm getting is that this is about spiritual initiation, because honestly, like, life itself is a spiritual teaching. And honestly, like, the best teacher is the higher self. So yes, it is probably about starting some kind of light worker mission, whether it's a business or just being a light worker. But a teacher also means a teaching. Whether we have a teaching or we find a teaching that is universally espoused, whether it's the transmission of the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, so on. It's even the gospel of one of the gospels, I think it's Joseph or John. It's the Gnostic teachings. But also sometimes the teaching comes from a teacher, whether we are the teacher or we have the teaching. Sometimes, like me, I discovered that my first teaching was my recovery story, because I used to be an addict in my youth and my teenage years. I'm in my mid-30s. But so that was the first time that I realized that I was a teacher, because people were asking me to come to, like, back then I was in the fellowship. I've since left. As a medicine worker, as a practitioner, we use substances for assisted journeys. So I left because it was an integrity thing. But the room saved my life, and there was a time many years in a row where I had sponsees, and I was called to meetings, I was called to recovery circles, I was called to recovery groups to share my experience in the rooms, in the fellowship. And that was the first time I discovered, like, oh, I'm a teacher. But even before then, I was tutoring, as a former math prodigy, things of that nature. So it takes a while sometimes to realize that you're a light worker. And oftentimes, as a light worker, you're not going to call whatever teaching that you do, whether you're tutoring, or whether you can talk to animals, or whether you can do art, or whether you're an Uber driver or a hairdresser, even a social worker. That's a light worker with a degree, with a master's degree. You know what I mean? So oftentimes you discover that you are a light worker because you have a ministry. And sometimes you don't realize that the teaching that you have is the ministry that you have. So that's just something to put out there. Now let's clarify this, because we also have Sacred Journey with number 26, which we've already talked about in the recent month. There is wisdom in knowing that even darkness serves its purpose in the growth of the soul. Darkness need not be feared, but simply understood. Darkness is a misunderstood energy which causes so much emotional distress and disharmony around the world, and is seen as something that is separate from God. Most often see it as something that needs to be avoided and battled. Darkness too serves its purpose. Through darkness, we come to see the light that is in us. We expand our conscious understanding through first walking in the shadows of the soul. The more you ignore, push away, and avoid darkness, the more it is attracted to your space. It is only through love and understanding of the true nature of darkness, embracing its role, and having gratitude for the lessons it teaches us, that we are able to transcend its karmic will. Only then do we break free of the cyclic challenges that trigger the soul through its many faces and forms. Darkness is here to help us find our way back into our heart. We are all one: good, evil, dark, light, and the many other labels mankind has used to separate this energy that is one. Do not fear the shadows within or outside you, but simply observe the dance of life that is occurring all around you. See the lessons that unfold the dark periods in your life, understand their meanings and purpose. When you can transcend this illusion of separateness and judgment of all that is seen as dark, you transcend the illusion of suffering. The more you walk through this journey with understanding and clarity, the more at peace you are with this world. You are then ready to enter realms of higher consciousness and increased light. Affirmations: I am triumphant in knowing that even darkness serves its purpose in the fruition of the soul. The chakra here is the solar plexus. So we have the chakras above the heart, including the heart, and then we have the one right below. That's interesting to me. I think in order to open up ourselves to the higher, we can't be afraid of the lower. And the lower is where you'll find darkness, because darkness is really where love doesn't penetrate. And love is light. Light is truth. Truth is God. God is the collective of all the goodness in the universe. Jesus is the collective of all the consciousness in the universe. Now, Jesus actually is the collective of all the love in the universe. So love ascended beings begin to be able to enter the spiritual realms. So that's why the heart is so important, because it's the gateway to filter all realities, both physical and spiritual realities. Okay. Now, also, like I was sharing, like I realized that I had a ministry when I was consistently called upon to share my history with, my recovery, my recovery story, my history and my battle with addiction. And there's also, domestic violence there and other dramas and traumas. And, I have like a trafficking and a sexual exploitation story. So that came out way later. But the first story that I knew to share was my history with addiction. And that's like over a decade ago. This year I'll have 20 years no white powders or needles. So, any mess can become a message. And that's the same thing as saying, sometimes you find your light in the darkness. That's what the dark night of the soul is, the dark journey of the soul. That's the difference between the eighth house and the ninth house. The eighth house is when you're wandering around in the darkness looking for the light. When you find that light and you go towards the light, then you find yourself in the ninth house. The ninth house is when you begin to see in the future, because it also talks about the horizon. But if you think about horizon, you break that down, it's her-I zone. You learn that in the mystery school. So I'm just putting that out there because it's relevant. Let's get into this reading. Oh my God. This feels messy. This recording. I'm hearing that song, Waiting for Tonight. Whoa, is that J-Lo? When you would be here in my arms, waiting for tonight. Yeah, that's J-Lo, I think. So we start this cycle sitting in some kind of spot. I think we've gained mastery, at least over the self, or self-governance in some way. And if it graduates from there, it would be system, structures, foundations, rules, restrictions, regulations, methods, means, methods, methodologies, tools, techniques, technologies. We've found some mastery of that, at least mastery of the self. We're also sitting in some spot. This is also the spiritual side of material affairs. So we're beginning to master ourselves from a spiritual space, unlike the Empress, where we're beginning to master ourselves from a physical space. We'll also be deliberating the findings. We're using the Thoth Tarot, and this is the Aleister Crowley Tarot. They are both by Aleister Crowley. This is the Thoth Tarot. This is the Aleister Crowley Tarot, okay? They're both by Aleister Crowley. Or one is influenced by Aleister Crowley. Okay, so I don't think this is from Aleister Crowley. Let's take a look. Because it doesn't say. He left instructions, and somebody took these instructions, and it's by Tanya Ashan. He left instructions, and somebody took those instructions and made a deck. I like the thought tarot because it has a lot of alchemical stuff, and I'm like one of those witchy occultists. So it makes sense to my primordial self, my intuition. So we enter in this cycle having gained some type of mastery because there was a lot going on, Seven of Cups, but we whittled through everything. We kind of turned over every rock. We kind of, looked over under every rock, spilled over every cup, looked for the key under every little doormat. And what we found was happiness. So that's what's evolving in the situation because we are on the River Styx. So we've been led out of some kind of confusing or overwhelming time, if that makes sense. Now, we might have our sun in Aries here. We might have our Jupiter in Capricorn here. We might have our Saturn in Leo here. Because it's time. It might be the right time to do something. Now, it can also be that there's been some type of will of karma. So we can be coming out of a karmic cycle. There's 2 5s here. So it does give some things a negative connotation. We could be stuck somewhere not wanting to move on, or we could be moving into a more tumultuous time, or we could be moving on something that's unfinished. There can be intentional evil going on, demonology. There can be actual physical abuse, especially within the family unit. It could be in an earlier part of time, though, like earlier in our development. Now, there also might be somebody refusing to ask for help or some kind of help being forced on somebody. There can also be some kind of institutionalization. That would be for sure, if we have the Hierophant and the Hangman. Our happiness might be upsetting someone. They could be fighting us because we're happy. They might be fighting us because we've graduated, we've moved on. And that can be the cycle that we're needing to deal with. Now, actually, how I would interpret this is we're coming into our own light. We're coming into our own powers of manifestation. Sun card in the Wheel of Fortune means manifestation, period. We're coming into a cycle where we have our power in our hand, where we're self-possessed, self-oriented, self-guidance, self-directed. And it's as if somebody wants to tear us down a peg so that we need to rely on them. A double 5 here means chaos. It can mean things are being depleted, degraded. It can also mean that there's losses. Now it's on the other side. So the other person is experiencing loss, they're experiencing karma, they're entering a cycle of that. And we are coming out of it on our end. We've taken that darkness, that dark period, that being disempowered, being not empowered. We took that and we made something of it. We were on some kind of illusion, delusion, confusion, or there was some mirage, some illusion, some kind of glamour, some type of projection. And we took that and didn't have a lot of fun there. And we came out of that having learned something. We might have even been addicted and afflicted. We would have been miserly, embittered. We would have been on the low end of the totem pole or just disproportionately disadvantaged, disenfranchised even. 7 of Pentacles, 7 of Cups. Yeah, so we got a lot of strength left in us and a little fight left in us. But yeah, there's some kind of isolation here with the double 9. Because we found our unconditional love and we found our heart here. However, we did need to kind of move through a desolate place. What I'm getting is that love wasn't there. With the Lover's card, this upper triangle is clarified by the Lover's card here, Yolante. So we might have been excommunicated from a community. Lovers card means unions, unity, community, partnership. It can also talk about choices. We might have had a series of piss poor decisions, piss poor choices, and we're moving on from there. We're driving life forward according to our desires, passions, motivations, and that's because of our spirit, karma, life path, destiny. We will be victorious doing that. But we're having, with the High Priestess and the Sun card, we're having some type of soul retrieval here. With the High Priestess and the Lovers card, somebody can have their moon in Gemini, especially if it's conjunct their moon. Me personally, I have my moon opposed Mars. So somebody might have their Mars in Gemini, especially if it's conjunct their moon. That's for sure. This is talking to you. Now, moon Mars aspects, especially when they're a major aspect like a square, an opposition, a conjunction, a trine, it's always powerful, regardless if it's positive or negative. So like conjunctions and trines are positive, oppositions and squares are more negative or conflicting. And there's minor ones as well. Those are the major ones, but we have like minor ones like sextiles or semi-sextiles or in conjunction or whatever, what have you. So this Mars and a moon aspect is very powerful. And also, somebody here does have their rising sign in Sagittarius, and we might be coming up against somebody with like, if we're the one with our Mars aspecting our moon and it's in Gemini or the third house, we're coming up against somebody with the opposing energy. So their moon and their Mars are aspecting, but it's in the sign of Sagittarius. Now, this specifically is talking about the third house. Moon and Mars in the third house, or Moon and Mars in Gemini. This person that we're coming up against, they are a Sagittarius rising with their moon in the first house. Regardless if Mars is there, this is a Sagittarius moon, Sagittarius rising. Yeah, so they're going to try to do some kind of breadcrumbing, lording over, presiding over, because they need to get us to give up our spot, is what this means. You have the 4 flanked by 2 pentacles, and then it's another 4 here. So that's suppression, repression, a double 4. They have a plan and agenda to take our spot in some kind of way, because they want to be in it. They think that they deserve it more than we do, or they're wanting to defend them losing some type of glory or losing their access to the divine kingdom, to paradise. They were able to hide in some kind of space and do the nefarious things. They were able to trick people in a space where they were seen as beloved, or where they had esteem, respect even. I think somebody's losing their reputation. Here's the thing. This is actually a positive cycle. New moons, we don't talk about negativity. So if something negative is happening during the new moon, it's the global society, the global elite, the powers that be, like the structures upon the earth, that's negative happening to them. And then us, the ones watching, the priestess is watching, something positive is happening to us. So if somebody's having a fall from grace, it means that they've had some type of institution, some type of matrix, some type of facade going on for a long time. And as it falls, we regain our power. And it is talking about that. The moon, which is High Priestess, represents the moon, not the moon card that actually represents Pisces, or the full moon. So the new moon is the High Priestess. And when it comes out conjunct or aspecting or even combination with the sun, this means soul retrieval. And before we had l'imperatore il sole, the sun and the emperor, that talks about a graduation. So I'm hearing the shackles are coming off. Slavery, two fives can talk about slavery a little bit. The Five of Pentacles alone can talk about slavery. So it's almost like we're getting our walking papers, our freedom papers. It doesn't matter your skin color, it doesn't matter Caucasoid, Negroid, whatever, what have you, Mongoloid. I'm saying it that way to be a little dramatic with my language. I know we don't use that terminology anymore. We don't even call Down syndrome Mongoloid fever. Okay, so, but I'm getting all that. So something antiquated is what that's telling me. Something from the past, from the ancient days, some law that shouldn't have been on the books for the last 50 years. And it was a spiritual whatever. We're coming out from underneath that. Now, when we have a pair of nines, there's some kind of forced isolation before we had a pair of fives. So tell me about that pair of fives. Yeah, we were leaving the matrix. It was some kind of spell was wearing off. See, we have a double eight and a seven, and that eight is flanked by two cups. Now, this eight is rendered, that flanking is rendered neutral because it's the same grade as one of these. But yeah, a spell was wearing off. We were actually getting saved, six of cups, either chosen or saved. And yeah, the situation was, the tables turned, situation switched on itself. And it had to deal with our celestial endowment, our spiritual inheritance. I mean, about this pair of nines. Yeah, so there's a sequestration amongst chosen children. The Lovers card can talk about chosen children, especially with the Sun card, because we need to start making moves. Something was secured in place for a while. Position five can talk about the powers that be. And it was because of collective energies. They had people carding off into groups, either political parties or races or social classes. People were carding off into groups, cordoned off into groups, and that's beginning to come undone. They had secured this in place to use this. Even this is called power. You see how it's surrounded by a moat. They were doing that to use. Yeah, they had. The devil had a stronghold, is what this is telling me. And that's true. So a secret's coming out, a double seven, an alert's going off, and the river Styx opens up. Especially with the devil there, we're being guided away from that enslavement. So as much as I don't want to say what I'm saying, it's like being confirmed in the clarification. Mm. Gonna be a long reading. Virgo's all the way at the bottom. So I'll just try to go faster. So what we have here now is this High Priestess is clarifying some past energy. When we come into our unconditional love and the ability to move through the world being loving, meaning non-judgmental, it gives us what's called a sense by being able to withdraw our energy from certain places and spaces, because we will still have an open heart, even if we need to leave things on the table, even if we need to go forward. And that'll actually continue to give us some type of gift. When we can't get what we need from other people, whether it's in union, communion, partnership, whether it's a filial connection, a congenial connection, we'll be able to give it to ourselves. And that makes us kind of untouchable in most ways. It'll also give us traction, movement. Cavalier de Bastione, that's the Knight of Bastione wands. So yeah, and this is all wands here. So we're now getting franchise and control, two of wands, being able to weigh things up, being able to know what our options are, having things within our power. And that's confirmed with the King of Cups and the Knight of Wands. It gives us some kind of elite space or position or whatever. It's clearly confirmed with the Nine of Wands there. And that actually is what we've needed, because we've been in our mental, or we've needed to see things from a different perspective, which means we were sacrificed, we were hung out to dry, or we had to surrender, let go, let God. Both of those are true, because we have the Eight of Cups and the Hangman, La Peso. So that means letting go, letting God. It also means surrender, sacrifice. It also means being sacrificed with the devil here. Now, somebody here is a Libra rising, which is a Cancer midheaven. We have an Aries rising. If that's true, Mars is in the first house, and Saturn would be in the 12th house, and Jupiter would be in the 6th house. So if that's you, you would be an Aries rising with your Saturn in Pisces and your Jupiter in Leo with your Mars in Aries. So you would have you would have Mars in the first house as an Aries rising with Leo in the 5th house and Jupiter in the 5th house. And you would have Saturn in the 12th house as a Saturn in Pisces. And it's confirmed already because the 12th house came out. This person, I'm already being told, I already know who your Saturn spirit is. It's Dada G. There's also some generational curse here. I'm getting a reading on, it has to be just 1 or 2 people because this is very, very, very specific. Somebody definitely has their Jupiter in Leo. Somebody definitely has their Mars in Aries. And that Mars in the Aries is in the 1st house. So we were hung out to dry and we're finally being let down, let off the hook in some kind of way. Something's being restored even because we found a way to exercise our power. And there's some kind of gift being given or material blessing. Here's that Leo energy. Because we found the way to see the good in everything. So judgment is different for us now. There's a difference between a value judgment and a moral judgment. Because the way we were giving love or the way we had our heart, it was either inhabited by darkness or darkness was encroaching upon it, or we were harboring some kind of feeling that was keeping us at a lower vibration. And it was definitely a vibration, not an energy, not a frequency, vibration. Our vibe was kind of stank, or we were dealing with somebody whose vibe was kind of stank. And we discovered how to be on our hustle, be on our grind, and work on ourselves. The only other explanation here could be that because the devil is clarifying Ace of Cups, Five of Cups with the Ace of Swords, that means that there was some kind of stank face energy. We were harboring judgment, I feel. Because the judgment card is out here. And we're clarifying this double ace. Yeah, we were making some choices that were leading to, yeah, again, the devil popped out. It peeked out because it's actually the Six of Swords with the ace. Okay. Yeah, so we were on the River Styx and we figured out a way out because we needed to get rid of pessimism. So if we were at a stink face energy, we had pessimism. Somebody here has their Mercury in Aquarius. So we were either harboring pessimism, and we might have been connected because there are two aces here. That's a partnership, or we were connected to somebody that had snake face energy. Yeah, we were attached to somebody that had snake face energy, probably baby daddy. We were being victimized. It might have been spiritually. But we found emotional fortitude. When the strength card comes out after the devil, it means emotional fortitude, overcoming the lower self, strength, courage, and wisdom. We had some kind of aha moment, which was that even darkness has its purpose. Sometimes it serves as an example how not to be. Sometimes it serves as a breeding ground for choice to make to serve the light. Sometimes it's a blessing for us and a test, a lesson for someone else. Ultimately, it brought us into alignment. Somebody here has their sun in Libra, or is a Capricorn rising. Somebody here is a Gemini rising. If you have your sun in Virgo, your moon would be in the same house or the same sign as Virgo. It goes the same for Capricorn. Things came into alignment. We discovered our own worth, what our value is and what we deserve. And what that enabled us to do was to say no or to accept whatever was, because there was some cutthroat kind of tactical manipulation, intentional gaslighting, something to strip us or minimize our own personal power. And that lasted for a while, but we came into alignment. We discovered a skill of discernment. So what's going to happen is we'll start to manifest because we have self-worth and value now. We know what we deserve. A tactic of the enemy is not going to work anymore. And it was mostly hidden enemies too. So mainly it'll be the collective. We have a Taurus moon here. To a lesser degree, that would be Aquarius rising. We're going to come into our own sovereignty, and we're going to have control over our own soul. Believe it or not, we did it. And I think it was a global institutional thing. So we're going to notice that we're a lot more empowered over this next 6 months. Now, we have, like I said, a Taurus moon or Aquarius rising. We also have Scorpio midheaven, which talks about Aquarius rising. So that's a double confirmation. But also there could be a Pisces midheaven, which is that Gemini rising. So we definitely have a Gemini rising, definitely have an Aquarius rising. As long as we take on God duties and obligations or some kind of God duties and responsibilities, we're going to come into our spiritual inheritance because the groundwork has been laid. for our spiritual inheritance to come in, and it's been sitting there at the threshold because we needed to fully end or have an ego death, fully end the cycle or have an ego death. Again, now we have Taurus midheaven, which would talk about a Leo rising. We also are starting some new kind of project or plan. It is going to pay off. There's going to be an ego death, though, because we've been pinned down, suppressed, repressed, oppressed in some kind of way, put in a bottle even. So some kind of tactic that was deployed on us or exploiting us is over. Something is starting. We have a new beginning. Something is going to start expanding as well. But when the full card and the Eight of Wands is there, there's like a unexpected expansion. And with the King of Pentacles, something matures or gets mastered, and it's according to some kind of plan. Because the last cycle, we became adept at something. And it's going to start over the next week. From watching this video, it's going to start over the next week. Anywhere between if you're getting this between the 3rd and the 18th of September, within the next week, there's going to be some sudden massive expansion or unexpected expansion. Let's check on this pair of fours here. We have a Four of Swords and a Four of Cups. That's that sunken place being pinned down in some kind of way. We're coming out of it. Here's called the Knight, but it's the King of Swords. Okay, so there's going to be a change of rulership. It might be whether it's a baby daddy. This is a change. So, but it's coming from the spiritual realm with it's not the ancestors, the angels. This is Anubis or Ampu with the Three of Pentacles and the Death card. That's Anubis or Anpu. It's the same spirit. And we're doing this for Twala, the Gede. We've made it in some kind of way. So there's some kind of shift in rulership. I think we might stop giving our power away to something, is what I'm getting. Because somebody had a thumb on us and that's over. We've gotten our executive judgment back, our executive function, our executive decision. Yeah, something's being restored here with these two cards can talk about, it's a rebalancing, a resettling. Six of Pentacles and the Fool card, and then with the Magician, it's kind of like, okay, and this is post-traumatic stress. There was a fight going on that was very psychic and subconscious, and it's not going to have any bearing or effect because we have the Nine of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles. So we've been fighting for our own power, our own divinity, our own virtue. We've been fighting to be secure in the self. There was some energy entity out there that thought that we didn't know how to make decisions for ourselves. We didn't know how to rule or manage or govern ourselves, that we couldn't do better for ourselves, that they needed to come in and do it for us. But there was some kind of selfish intention or, motive, agenda there. They wanted just to have power in their hand. They wanted to be able to control us or dominate us. Even if they were doing better for us, they wanted to have that control. They weren't going to allow us to manage ourselves ever. They weren't going to allow us to have autonomy for ourselves ever. They were always going to want us to stay needed so that they can do for us and not us do for ourselves. That's ended. That's ending. So even if this wasn't a sunken place pinned down in a bottle or whatever, what have you, then it would have been repression, suppression, oppression, depression. We already had that strength card. So it could be true. We just got a reaction here. Yeah. We had that shrimp card. This is another word for Leo. There's a lion here. This is talking about an Aries rising or Mars in Aries, yeah, but that's the secret, the truth, the cunning, the strategy that we need. There was a tactic being played on us. We were being manipulated in some kind of way so that somebody can sit in a spot. And they did that for a long time with that Knight of Pentacles there, that where they had some kind of rule, regulation, restriction over us. And then this Emperor and Knight of Disc or Pentacles is flanked by two sword cards. So somebody did have control over us for a long time. It was institutional, collective. It was the plight of humanity. We were under the thumb of some kind of dimensional rulership. And that's ending. Now we're mastered. We've mastered our own spirituality here, or we've mastered our own soul. Yeah, it was the devil. We were consistently giving, the devil had a hold on us. And it's not always evil, it's not always sinister, it's not always wicked. It could just be we were operating without the truth. We were going forward under some kind of ignorance. We were under some kind of control that we didn't know about. We were, it could have even been there was a clause in our contract, or we were paying too much interest, or we were overpaying the bill, or we had two different subscriptions, or two payments of the one same subscription. It could have been that we were getting double charged or overcharged. It could be something that simple. The devil just means it was an abuse. It was toxic. It was, and it could have been unknown. We're coming out from underneath it. Now, I do feel it wasn't something as simple as we were being overcharged or overpaying for something. I feel like we were under some type of collective ignorance where we were giving our power away because we've been conditioned and programmed, and also the truth of our own nature was hidden from us, withheld from us. Okay, and you see, we had a reaction there. We're coming into spiritual perfection, Temperance card, and it's been a long time where we were stuck in one place. But it is some kind of soul retrieval with the Sun card. It's expansion and happiness. And we're finally recognizing something. Either others are recognizing us, or we're being recognized, or we're recognizing ourselves. And yeah, this is a soul expansion because we're having an activation of the heart, Nine of Cups and the Eight of. There's also an ascension download, activation codes coming in. Somebody here has their Venus in Scorpio, or their Scorpio rising. Somebody here has their Venus in Taurus or their Scorpio rising. So we're coming out of the matrix in some way. We're seeing too many glitches in the matrix. It's finally going to start breaking down. Yeah. Something's going to pop, and it's going to keep giving for quite some time. And it's because of our heart chakra being open and our heart being activated, and we have some kind of discernment. Before we had executive judgment, now we have our executive function, now we have discernment. And there's some truth coming out. There's another 4. So we found our spot here. Somebody might have their Mercury in Sagittarius. Somebody might be a Scorpio rising. Somebody might have their Venus in Aries. To a lesser degree, they may have their Saturn in Sagittarius. Well, there you go. That was a Freudian. They might have their Saturn in Libra. They might have their moon conjunct their Venus. We're getting tips and tricks. We're learning how to navigate and negotiate We're learning how to manifest something. And it would have came through a harsh truth or terms and conditions being fulfilled. Something's been lifted or broken, really. So now we have that prickly expansion, but an expansion all the same. And it's a bigger, brighter, and better future now with the star card, because we're taking action, or we're expanding we were able to protect ourselves now and our spot, because we're having some kind of spiritual expansion. Or now somebody has their sun in Aries. They also have their Mercury and or Venus in Cancer. They might have their Mars in Cancer as well. There's also a union, a partnership here. Something's coming together, our spirit and our soul, or something of that nature. We might also be getting crowned in the spirit. We have a pair of threes and a matching king and queen, with the sacred feminine out here. The Empress is out here. Yeah, so we're moving to higher ground, and all the bugaboos are going to get repelled, because somebody's trying to retain some higher ground, but they're in a fight. This is messages from the battleground page of cups, especially here how it comes out. Normally it's an invitation, but that would mean somebody's trying to invite us back, lure us back to the dark side. And dark side doesn't always mean evil workings. It could just mean to a place where we were disempowered. Would you ever want to go back to a toxic ex? Maybe if you're still in it, but once you get away and you have some time to yourself, you're not going to want to go back and deal with more drama, right? Or would you want to go back to a job that you hated? It could be luring back to the dark side that way as well. It's because we have peace and tolerance now with the Queen of Cups sitting on the throne. That might mean that we're Cancer moon. We could also be Cancer rising here with Venus in the first house. So, okay, what is this pair of threes mean? Because the spell is lifting, a curse is lifting, a spell is being broken, and something's starting to backfire for somebody. Yeah, we're getting messages from the battleground. Through natural born experience, we're starting to come out from underneath something, and it was a long time in coming. It might have been multiple lifetimes, at least 3, where we were trying to break this curse. Yeah, so we're attaining spiritual perfection. We're getting our wings. Somebody has their Venus in Virgo. Somebody has their Mars here at an air sign. I'm hearing Libra. It could be that our Saturn is in Aquarius as well. That could mean you're born 88, 89, 90. We're chosen here, and we're discovering that. Some people are falling out of grace, and we're left alone without the support of toxic people and with the support of healthy people. Others of us, we're finding that we have a high spiritual rank. Not just when we receive our wings, we're actually being given a spiritual promotion. We're a humble teacher as well. We're a humble ruler, or even have a peaceful war, or we're a spiritual warrior. Love has been trying to come in, and we might finally be at the vibration that attracts this love as well. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. We get our wings. Our wings are coming in. We're entering into this new vibrational earth. That's what this reading has been about. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. Take good care. Bye-bye.